Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to my first video ever. My name is Zar, and today I've decided to start a new series that I'm going to call Average Chess, because I'm just an average guy who's a bit average at chess, and we're gonna go through some videos and some drills and some techniques that can help you get better at chess. Now I'm not just some schmuck. I'm rated. My peak rating is about 1750 on chess.com, so by no means a master, but I would consider myself pretty decent at chess. I beat most of my friends, humble brag. But I was thinking about making content so that beginners and casual chess players can get better at chess and beat their friends, beat their family, get some bragging rights, things like that. So I've made this series Average Chess, and today I've decided to start with the three most important principles to remember when you're making an opening moves in chess. Now, at the lower levels, probably below maybe 1200, maybe a bit lower, the 1000, you won't need to remember too much chess theory. Really, people at those levels aren't going to memorize theory. It's really when you get up above about 1500 where theory will start to come into play, and knowing the positions and knowing the variations will help you in those games. But for the lower levels, for your casual chess games, don't worry about the theory. If you want to learn an opening, you want to learn a bit of theory, go for it. But I just want to show you some principles that will help you just get into better positions in chess, help you win more games, so that you can brag to your friends that you're great. So let's start with principle one. And the first thing I want to talk about today is central control. So that's a control of the center of the board. Ideally these four squares, or to an extent these squares around them. So these 6 twin squares would make up the center of the board. Now, white going first can easily do that with the first move. The two most common first moves, or the two classical first moves by white, are e4. You can see this is row E, column 4, or d4, known as the king or queen pawn. Now, this allows you to take control over these central squares, or with e4, these two, and it stops black from then moving into the center, say with a pawn like that. If you did take it, it'd have to take with the queen. And in the beginning levels, it's not always ideal to have your queen out because it becomes a target of other pieces. And I hate to say it, a lot of the time they will blunder their queen, and it will be very hard to recover if you lose your queen. So what we're going to focus on is black probably responding with a similar move like e4. You will see this a ton. You will also see d4 and d5 a ton. So what do you do? If black goes to e5, this stops you from having d4 played, because in the ideal situation, this is what you'd get. If you get this position, you're loving life. Look at that. So you're covering those 4 squares. You're not allowing black to play any of these pawns here because you'll just take him. So commonly you will see this position, and leading on from the opening, you can, a lot of beginners will play a lot of pawn moves. They'll do things like that. They don't really know what they're doing. They'll just play pawns like this. But you shouldn't do that. After you put a pawn in the center, this opens up your bishop, this opens up your queen. You want to move your knight out. This is called piece development. You've got your minor pieces, your bishops, and your knights. You want them out as soon as possible. They are going to be more beneficial in the center of the board. If you leave them in the back row, what are they doing? This bishop's staring here. Whereas if he's over here, he can stare this way, this way, this way, this way. He can go back if he needs to, and it puts more pressure on the position. I, in this position, have seen knight to f3 a ton, because what that does is two things in one. Firstly, you're developing the knight. Good job. Principle 2 down pat. But second thing it's doing is attacking this pawn. The pawn is in the center of the board, so that goes back to central control. You're then controlling this square. The pawn is unguarded, so black has to respond by protecting the pawn. they can do it by also developing the knight. So they've also got central control and development. They could do it with the pawn as well. This allows the bishop to come out eventually, but it's not ideal because it traps this bishop in. We can talk about that in later videos because you kind of want this bishop out behind the pawn before you play it. So knight to c6 is a very good way to protect it. We're just continuing on with principle 2. We'll play another knight move, more development. You could put your bishop out. Obviously, you can't get this bishop out until this pawn's out. So let's go with the bishop here. And this pawn is now eyed off by the bishop. That could become a target in the future. We're going to say black doesn't know about development, so they're just going to play some move like this. We're going to keep developing. Black eventually plays this move. We can then play that. Black doesn't know what's happening. Okay. We've got nice development now. We've got good control over the center squares. We've got control over these squares here. So the most critical principle, and the one that I want you to always remember, is getting your king to safety. King safety is #1 rule. You can ask any pro chess player. There's a old world champion, Garry Kasparov, Russian grandmaster. He always says, you know, king safety is #1. And what that means, castle. Get your king out of the center of the board, because that's where all the play wants to be. That's where all the pieces are. You get your king away from that so that you don't find yourself in any sticky situations, or get checkmated in turn 4 or 5. The king can castle either direction. He just moves 2 squares and the rook jumps over. So you could move your queen here and then castle that way. Now, things to remember about castling. If your king's moved already, you then can't castle. It just isn't an option. Additionally, if you move your rook on whichever side, you then can't castle. If you move this rook, you can still castle that way as long as your king and that rook haven't moved. So do remember that in case you want to move a rook. Just remember, you cannot castle. So to recap, guys, we've got central control. Just allowing yourself to have the most, I guess, presence in the center of the board. This will allow play to be easier for you. Secondly, development. Develop your knights, develop your bishops. If you can do this faster than the opponent, you will naturally find yourselves in better positions. So you look at that. I mean, I played dumb moves, but it's already 2.5 for white. That means white is theoretically 2.5 pieces up. King safety. If you remember these principles and you remember to centralize, develop your pieces, protect your king, then you play players that are rated 1,000 or below, casual players, your friends and family that don't play chess, people like this, you will find yourself winning a lot of games. You will find yourselves just in much easier to play positions, and positions where you can just find checkmate because you've got all your pieces lined up in the center of the board. Anyway, guys, we'll go through some more chess fundamentals in later videos, and I'll even give you some game examples where I'll do the same thing and see where it gets me. So thanks for tuning in for my first video, guys. I'm Czar. This is Average Chess. Stay average, and please like, comment, subscribe, help me grow the channel. All right. Peace out, guys. Thank you.